what's all the natural anxieties about, are people going to show? You know what I mean? Because like you put in all this energy, all this training, all this advertising dollars, all this stuff, right? And it's like, are people going to show? I'm a little bit stressed, you know, but like to see such a banger of a grand opening. So like first one in this town, like super huge kudos, hats off.
Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club, where we discuss all of the insights, expertise, and drama that goes into making your passion your profession. Our hosts, Aaron, Ben, and Drew, are three coffee experts who have taken their coffee experience and turned it into true expertise. They have consulted with major coffee brands throughout the United States and beyond, providing operations expertise and growth strategy for drive-through openings, multiple locations, and everything in between. So brew yourself a cup and hang out a bit with the Coffee Experts Club.
Just turning in, welcome, Coffee Experts Club. Welcome. For those of you who don't know, our very own Drew Moody has been up in Great Falls, Montana, is still up in Great Falls, Montana, helping out with the Coffee Republic crew and their grand opening. Killer first couple of days. Yeah, Drew, you want to give us just a quick update on how things have been going up there the last couple of days?
Yeah, it's been, we opened Friday. I was there for basically the whole day out of my own free will. It was a lot of fun. Of course, anybody who's done a grand opening knows that it's the culmination of many efforts and many days and so much planning and so much coordination, so that when the day actually comes, fingers crossed, it runs itself. We are a well-oiled machine, but it still needs a little bit of guidance the whole time. So the first day it went better than we had expected, but just as good as we hoped. So we were busy, cars in line all day from before the sun was up to well after the sun was down. And
never shut down a traffic street.
I think we had our cars down to less than a minute most of the day. So
40 seconds is what you guys were talking to me about. And it was like, Ben, I've never seen a line snake so hard. Snaked around the building, snaked back up the building, snaked around it. Like they had that thing in like the best little like spiral ever and had stacking for days. How many people were stacked in the line, Drew, if you had to guess?
Almost 35, 40 maybe.
Wow.
It was,
but not into the streets. Dude, we used to shut streets down, Ben. Not for these. It was awesome.
Yeah, we had it like a little snail shell wrapped around the building a couple times for using the window. And anybody who's around those things, I said, you need traffic people. We always joke about Ben was the traffic guy. Not really joke. Ben was the expert at making sure customers knew where to go, and it's definitely a necessary piece of the puzzle. So we did have our whistleblowers and our stoppers and our holding up lines, making sure that the crossroads were a safe spot. So that's almost just as important as the person pulling shots. But yeah, we did. I think I talked about, I was expecting to do about 900 cars and we did just under 1,000 by like 15, maybe. We did 1,800 drinks or something. Like busy day, big success. And we're still feeling the trickle down effect from that. So
day 2, day 3, I felt like your numbers were still pretty gangster.
Super solid. Yeah. And today was the first day. Well, we were doing random giveaways, but every day we open, it's like a $500 hour because it's like, oh, free t-shirts or free mugs, or we're giving stuff away. So, and then it slowly trickles out throughout the day. But Montana, the city of Great Falls isn't exactly a metropolitan hub. So people come out at specific times of the day and have their specific routines. So it's been really steady. And yeah, today was good. I'm a little tired. Opening shifts aren't the easiest, but
you've worked like 13 or 14 days in a row, no days off. Is that true?
It's been a lot of days, a lot of preparation, a lot of planning. And
I'm hoping, did you get your day off tomorrow? I'm hoping that you talk to Jonathan. Like, I hope that happens.
We'll see what happens. I'll probably still swing by the store and make sure they're okay.
All I have to say is I told Drew, I'm like, bro, because I can tell by Drew's messages back, like we're starting to wear him thin. And I'm like, bro, like, it's okay. Like, take a day off. It's okay to take one day off in 14, and just to establish like coffee experts elites. Like, that's not like because we sent him to your town. Like, it doesn't mean he has to work like 14 days in a row. And I don't think Jonathan is asking that. I think Drew just like showing up and doing it awesome. So
I just love coffee. That's like, I didn't need to be there the whole grand opening day, but it's hard to leave that type of setting. So
I think that's amazing. That's really funny, actually, how close to your estimates you came out to for car traffic on grand opening. I'm curious, how'd your brand new baby baristas do? They hold their own pretty well?
I was honestly really impressed, not to toot my own horn, but we had most of the kids work on bar for a little bit, whether or not it was me. We had it set up in a certain way. I think on bar specifically, there was only 3 people on front bar and then 1 person on blenders. So it's really set up efficiently. There's a lot of space in there, but the coordination effort between us all, we only needed about 4 people on bar to be running less than minute cars all day. So I plugged in a barista here and there, and The most difficult spot that we have is milks and flavors. So the person who does milk does flavors. And so the shot puller is just a machine pulling shots all day. So I had my baristas doing that, getting used to pulling shots, and of course talking on window and running orders, but they did really good. And the thing I think we talked about is like, I don't know how good they are. I can yell drinks at them all day, and if they make them for me, awesome. And I know they made them right, but as soon as you open that window, it's a whole different ball game. So when the window opened, they're actually doing exemplary. I've been very impressed with the way that they work together, and it's obvious that they took it really seriously during training. So really proud of all the kids. I tell them, but they don't have reference to any other thing. So I've trained a lot of people, and these kids are doing really, really well.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the one thing that I was like, man, especially like being a brand new barista, like you have, like hour and a half, 2-hour training shifts, 3-hour training shifts. And at the end of it, you're tired, but like, can you do a grand opening shift and like your brain? Because I remember even as us, as veterans, we do grand openings. By the end of it, you're just like, I can't think anymore. Like the brand new babies, that's so much for their brains to handle. That's really impressive that they handled it well. That's cool.
Total zombie. That's me right now, a little bit of a zombie, but I'm here.
I was hoping today we could talk just a little bit about, obviously we've been talking a lot about this grand opening up at our coffee plants up there in Great Falls, Montana, Coffee Republic. But I thought we could probably pick out some of the excellence, like up to this point, Drew, a lot of it's been the excellence of getting us here. You know what I mean? Like how are we doing with scheduling, and how are we doing with setting up Square, and how are we doing with supply chain, and how are we doing with the training schedule, and how we do like all the different pieces. But now like we're at the go live day, right? So now we're like fast forward, we've made it through the crazy. And I remember being up there on Friday, and Thursday night we did the team dinner, which we always really advocate for. Let's do a big team dinner the night before, get everybody psyched up for getting out there the next day. And I thought they did a great job. Mac River pizza, like my favorite. That couldn't have been a better night. Talking to Jonathan, it's all the natural anxieties about, are people going to show? You know what I mean? Because like you put in all this energy, all this training, all this advertising dollars, all this stuff, right? And it's like, are people going to show? I'm a little bit stressed, but like to see such a banger of a grand opening. So like first one in this town, like super huge kudos, hats off. In fact, Jonathan's dad said he ran to the bank to get some change, and the bank guy's like, who has a marketing degree where you guys are from? Because whatever you guys are doing is murdering it, and I just thought such good praise. But what I would love to talk about is positions that we're using people at, and identifying people for their skill set. And like, because I know that you brought up David from our team as an all-star, and that's something obviously Collab team offers, is not just to set up Drew as coffee expert elite, but also bringing in some of our all-stars to come alongside of Drew, so that you have multiple veterans that are good at different things working in the stand, besides just like Ben was saying, the babies that you trained. They're like, what was it, only like 2 people had coffee experience that you trained, Drew? Like
maybe 3 or 4 of them. So, and sometimes, as we know, training those people is harder than training newbies.
So the thing I would love to talk to you about is, I know we brought up David, and I feel like one of David's strengths is like being able to own the window, and do it really well at the window. David worked for a long time at a high volume shop, and is familiar with those customer at the windows. And we got a lot of praise out of David. We had customers getting out of their cars, coming back around to talk to our team in the parking lot, being like, whoever you've got that kid working on window, he's phenomenal. I would hire him right now. Like, it's like that energy. Maybe you could talk about a little bit like positioning, how to identify positioning, especially for high volume days for a grand opening. Maybe some of the thought process that went through your mind and Jonathan's mind as you orchestrated that. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit today. It was one of the topics I thought we could hit.
Sure, yeah. Well, full transparency, we didn't know who was going to do what good at what when we opened the window. So a lot of it was gamble and trusting that our training was good enough. But you do think when you walk in, say you're a brand new barista and you're mid shifter, so you're not there for the ramp up. You're just there for the chaotic peak of the last 8 hours of the day. So when you get there, it's a lot of maybe tension or hesitation, or you get nervous, especially if you don't do this very often. And nothing like this has even done in Great Falls. So all these kids were really green walking into this. And so the way that we kind of pitched it was, you guys aren't really going to be working a lot on bar. You guys are going to be doing most of the backup stuff. You guys are going to be helping here and there. But we kind of identified throughout the day the people who were going to be good at things. So we just watch them and observe their body language. Or we'd say, hey, you're going to start here. You're going to work through this. We had people waving signs. We had people talking to customers in the drive-through. We had somebody taking orders and somebody walking ahead of them, handing out menus and being like, hey, make sure you know what you want when you get to our order taker, so that it really streamlines things. You notice I spent about a week and a half with these kids in the stand, and you develop strengths and you see weaknesses. And that was one thing that we touched base on with them with flow. And I know, as I keep saying, if you know coffee, you know these terms. Flow is meeting people essentially where their strengths end and yours begin. So naturally over time we'd work them on bar, and we'd have them, somebody doing mock window jobs, somebody pulling shots, somebody doing flavors. And we worked everybody through that. And then strategically throughout that, we'd be like, okay, well, this person obviously needs work here, and this person is good at these things. So we do have some rock stars who can work window. And Wes always said, if you can work window, if you're successful on window, you're going to be really successful in the coffee game, because what we do is 95% customer facing, basically entertainment and, you know, the liaison between making coffee and receiving coffee. So yeah, I mean, we just throughout the day, we tested them and pushed them, and unfortunately at the expense of our customers' wait time, which vary only about by 15 seconds per car. But yeah, trial and error and taking a chance on these kids and seeing what they do. And honestly, I mean, when you have 40 cars in line all day and you're doing under minute cars, I think the payout for putting the kids in these baristas in that position to try, and, you know, if you walk in and it's scary, and then 3 hours in you're pulling shots, you know, next to the business owner or next to the manager, the payoff from that experience with that barista is essentially priceless, because you can't replicate that in an artificial way.
Yeah, you can't sending baristas through the fire. I mean, that's the best way to learn, right?
Being honest about it, like I know when I was there, we had a breakdown. One of the baristas had a breakdown on, I didn't know it was going to be like this. I didn't know it was going to feel like this. I don't know if I can do this. And I think in some ways you're vetting that, right? Like this is the vetting. And you know, I tried to talk to that barista about, hey, listen, it's not going to always feel like this. Like this is not an average day. It's never probably going to be crazier than what you're experiencing today. So today's just the reps, just putting you through the reps. But I know some of it is like, you do want to shake loose the ones that aren't going to last, right? Because the sooner you can identify that, what is it? EOS really advocates for hiring slow and firing fast. Like, as far as if this isn't going to work, like just getting really clear on that with people. So maybe speak to that a little bit. Both of you guys, I know you guys have both been through a ton of firing, probably a lot of which on the backside of grand openings that just rattled people free, you know, of not being able to stick.
Yeah, I mean, them working at grand opening, I mean, just like you said, it's never going to be busier than that day unless they randomly decide to do a free day anniversary again. So if you can have baristas who are able to work through that, then you know they're going to be able to handle any shift, any morning shift, any afternoon shift. And that's a really key piece of information to have, because now Drew going forward can go, oh, I can put any of these baristas on the morning shift. I don't have to be like, okay, who's my strong barista? Who's my weak barista? If they handled it, they can handle it all, which is a great piece of information to have. But I mean, you don't always get a grand opening to test your baristas on. So it really is, I mean, I think that's part of the magic of Drew too, being able to be in the industry long enough so you can identify people's personality traits, how they're going to work. Like you can immediately tell with a new barista within a couple of days that, oh my gosh, if I put them on the window, they're going to clam up, and this customer is going to get such bad customer service because the barista is just going to stand there awkwardly like a zombie, just looking for the drink to hurry up and get done so they can hand it out. Like that's kind of stuff you only get from being in Drew's position or in the industry for so long, where you can go immediately go, oh yeah, David, yeah, he needs to be on the window because he's going to be great.
And it's funny that I was kind of talking to Jonathan about it, that moment when you run out of something to talk about with the customer and you're like trying to not look away from them, but you're trying to not look at them. So you're like in this weird checking behind you for the drink. But yeah, I mean, we have been through a lot of hiring and a lot of firing, and it's not always comfortable, but I think in the long run, it's better for both the team and the individual barista if you are quick to fire, because if it's not for them, it's not for them. And why drag out something that's painful for, you know, first of all, your customer base, but also that poor barista and I mean, it's coffee. What we do is coffee, but the level of intensity sometimes that we do it at helps people, helps me, it has helped me in the past. And I've seen tons of baristas go through it, develop so many life skills, because if you can make it through something like that, if you can, you know, speak and have an internal conversation and go from I can't do this to okay, I'm going to try this to I got this and this is easy, you're setting people up for some good success in life. So if you stick through those baristas who maybe freak out and leave on grand opening day and then come back and work their way slowly into the shift, if you stick with those people, sometimes they're the most dedicated.
Yeah, there's something to say on holding somebody's hand as they just go through a huge anxiety attack, because they're like, I never knew I would be crazy. I mean, because it is like, it would give me anxiety because you see 40 pairs of eyes staring at you, just like you can see that they're constantly saying, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And you're just like, But if you can take somebody by the hand, a new barista by the hand through that and take them through that, it creates a sort of dedication to the company, to the brand, because I mean, I've just walked through fire with you. We got through it on the other side. You grew out of your shell a little bit. You might have been an introvert. Now you're learning how to be an extrovert. That really speaks to a lot of people, especially new baristas, especially 18 to 23-year-olds who are, looking for a sort of path in life. It really creates a good bond, I think, in your shop with your baristas.
Yeah. Well, and it allows them, I think, and there was a moment where shift change happened. So morning shift, it's all smooth, especially if you're a few hours in. That team was there when it was slow, so it ramps up into the busy shift. And then we start switching people in to come on bar. And there was a moment where actually, I don't know exactly what happened because I was pulling shots. The Wi-Fi went down. So we weren't receiving orders on the iPad for like 15 minutes. So there was one car, and let me tell you, it was one of our baristas who rolled up to the window and ordered 6 drinks at the window. Of course, our barista is always the worst, right? They think for some reason they don't know the rules or something. So we had that car done. By the time we had that car done, we had the next 10 cars done. And so I was freaking out, and I was actually telling David there, and I was like, hey man, he's like, oh, it's all good, bro. I'm like, dude, I can see all the little green happy faces on these cars turning to yellow and then red mad faces one at a time. So the internal clock is ticking down. But then again, if you have those baristas and you're walking, through, like Ben said, through the fire with them, it builds a level of trust, and it builds camaraderie, and it builds respect. And if you don't freak out, which I didn't exactly freak out, but I get a little intense. Grand openings are intense. Then
I saw you bang through the doors. One instance, you're just like booking it out into the parking lot. I'm like, wasn't you just pulling shots, booking out there and yelling to somebody, hey, when they got this, did they mean this? And then run back in and like, so anyway, you get intense, but it's beautiful. Go ahead.
I do get intense. I'm passionate about it. So, but yeah, it builds trust. And then I know if I'm working and I don't know what I'm doing, I'm scared, and I'm working with somebody who does. For example, say I'm working with Ben back in the day, and Ben's cool as a cucumber, and I'm freaking out as a young barista. Well, it teaches me that it's okay, and things are okay, and things can be okay. When I don't know necessarily what to do, somebody definitely will. And that environment is a very healthy place for somebody to grow.
Yeah, that's very true.
Maybe we could talk just like highlight reel, right? Like obviously, Drew, I know you're exhausted. You're like, bro, why you keep making me talk? But I think that we're talking about this one though. This is live experience of grand opening. For any of you that have a grand opening like coming up in any time in the near future, lean in, right? This is like gold. We're dropping gold on you for learn by the pain, right? Learn from what Drew has just like gone through for the last couple of weeks on this lift. Every grand opening is a little bit different. Drew, as much as you can with your limited mind resource left before you take a nap later on this afternoon, being up at 4 o'clock in the morning and driving up there to open this morning after closing last night. Tell me this, like, what do you feel is some of the gold that we can pull through on, like, they did this really well. This was something that I'd encourage you to keep an eye out for, that we could have maybe have done a little bit better. And maybe like the Coffee Republic team has already identified that. I think if not, it'd be great for us to have a retrospective with them on, hey, let's dream a little bit about how grand opening went and how can we do things better? How did we really kill things? And what do we keep? What do we kill? What do we make better? What are your thoughts on that? Some of the take homes.
Well, first of all, I was asleep before this. I took a nap and set an alarm.
Yes, recharged already.
Slightly recharged, so I could have a little bit more stamina for this. And so, okay, first and foremost, bring in people who know what they're doing. And I'm not pitching us. If it is us, amazing, awesome, thank you. But if it's not, bring in people who know what they're doing. This family actually had some other connections as well and brought some people that used to work with them into the stand. And if we had been down one more person, it would have been way more difficult. So as many people as you possibly can to bring in who know what they're doing, absolutely do it. It's worth the cost. It's worth flying them in from California. It's worth flying them in from wherever to have them by your side on bar. Because, well, first of all, if you're working with people you know, the flow is better naturally. Mm-hmm. If you're working with people you have worked with, the flow is going to be top notch because they know your habits, they know your strengths, your weaknesses, they know what you want. When you flow, you just kind of mesh. It's like gears, working together. Second of all, not to discredit my name, I thought I knew what I was doing 100%. I had my ways, I had solid information, I had all this knowledge. And then I come in here with this team and I've learned a lot of more beneficial ways, or I suppose different ways that work just as well that are different from mine. So bring in people who know what they're doing, be malleable. Don't be afraid to change. I've been a stickler about my espresso. And so I like my espresso the way we used to do our roasters, and they do it very different here. So I was hesitant at first, but I'm learning to love it and appreciate different things about it. So day by day, and do your marketing and be realistic. Don't try to stage things. Don't try to frame things. Of course, to an extent, don't just take candid pictures of your baristas working, but let your baristas be natural because they are part of the community. And if you haven't been in that community for very long, they're way more of a part of the community than you are. So they're going to act, they're going to speak, they're going to feel more connected to the people that are around the customer base than generally us as business owners. Because, we're not necessarily out socializing and we're building a business, and it takes all of our time. So let your people be natural, let them be free, let them be happy. And then if any natural marketing comes your way, take advantage of that. Because, for example, I was lucky enough that the family had a windbreaker. I don't have it on me right now. I don't exactly know where it is. So it's somewhere, but it has their logo on it. And I went out to a baseball game and their mascot was there and I threw it on the mascot and was taking pictures of them. So little things like that. Or a country music singer was on tour and wanted to park his bus in our parking lot during the grand opening. So we let him, and they were supposed to have an interview with the radio earlier that day and missed it. So he came and did the interview in our parking lot. So natural marketing will happen, organic marketing.
Wow.
And then just, it's counterintuitive, but we give everything away for free on day one. And
yeah, talk to me about that, because that's not something we've ever done before. Like free day one is a big hit, right? Like, and probably anybody that's listening to this, you're like, how much money did they lose day one? But for them, they considered it marketing dollars to drive traffic, to create a new habit. And then they had their deal days on the back of that, right? For consistent daily habits. So high volume day one, consistent deals on the back to make it a habit, knowing that you're hoping that's going to grab traction for the weeks to follow. So speak to that a little, Drew.
Yeah, and like it's counterintuitive. Yeah, like you don't give stuff away, and if you're a business, it just isn't really the ideal way to make money. So you can't think of it that way, because if you do, it hurts. But it is natural marketing, and it's creating momentum within the community. Because if you don't have a name, if it's your first location, then the first, you definitely don't want the first thing people to think about is that you're stingy. You want people to think, oh, they're here for us. They're here to give to us, because that's the natural reality. Is when you go to a community, you want to give to that community. But then the other side of that reality is we need to make money. So the first day being a free day is a huge impression maker, and you reach everybody and their grandmas and their cousins because it's free. And we had the same people rolling through multiple times. And at first it's like, hey, you make room for other customers, but everybody got through. If you're fast enough, everybody can get through, and there's no shortage of customers. So having a free day is a good way to get your foot in the door with the community and be a benefit, because most of the time, and these days, you're going to get, another coffee shop. Why do we need another coffee shop? Or why another coffee? What was so different about you? And so being able to flip that and be like, well, we're here for you, and we care about our espresso, we care about our baristas, and your baristas are happy. Happy baristas is the best form of marketing, because your baristas are going to be talking. There's not a customer that's going to roll through your store that's not going to see a barista. And so we're taking care of your people is going to be, it just compounds. It's a compounding effect. Happy baristas means happy customers means a thriving business. So giving things away for free, it can't hurt you at first. And I think we cut back finally to $2 days was too much where we're from. So I was a little nervous for this free day, but we stock up on your product. Make sure you do a little research, because this is a chai city, and you wouldn't know that until you run out of chai a bunch of times and you clean out every Walmart, Albertsons, Super One Foods, and everything in between multiple times of chai. So product research, market research. But yeah, a free day, I'd say it wouldn't hurt you. I'd say it's going to help you more than if you've spent all this money up front to build this stand and do your marketing and hire baristas and train them right. One free day of giving away product is going to help you way more than it's going to hurt you.
I think too, like knowing where you're at in your market, as far as, for roasters, which is the majority of our grand openings, we've done, couple dozen grand openings total between all the different clients we've had, but like roasters was a lot of that, a big share of that. They had already developed a name. So we do a grand opening as a roasters. We're talking about pooling from hundreds of thousands of our customers that are going to come to this grand opening. Not just like 70,000 in the entire town, so that's why, Ben, maybe you've tuned into a past coffee experts or the coffee masterclass that we did on your first drive-through. Like, it depends on where you're at in the growth scheme. If you've got 10 locations, I wouldn't do a free day, because your volume is probably going to be too outrageous in that location. But if you're trying to make a splash in a town, one of the best ways you can do it is through a free day. Now that costs them almost like 10 grand, right? As far as all things said and done that they could have brought in if they hadn't given away everything for free. But is that 10 grand worth? Like, that's not their raw cost. That was their retail. You know what I mean? So is that raw cost worth marketing? And I would say most people are putting at least that much probably at their marketing strategy within that first couple of months anyway. So could you have just given yourself a stimulus out of gate one and made yourself a name, a big splash that you're generous? Ben, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, you said it exactly right. Free day, if it's your first or second shop, absolutely. Especially if you're brand new to the town. Like, I know Jonathan had just moved to Great Falls, what, a couple of years ago, a year ago?
Mhm.
So you don't have a huge name in the community. It's a small community, which means that everybody's going to know everybody. So if you want to make a splash, you got to do free. Otherwise, you see people are going to just assume that it's another mom and pop shop that's going to pop up and disappear, 5, 6 months later, which happens all the time. But yeah, I mean, if you've got, I mean, especially here where we are in the Tri-Cities, I mean, we're a metropolitan of like what, 200,000 people, something like that. We had 15 locations here. For us to do a free day means that, yeah, there's going to be, it's 50,000 people coming up for free drinks. And that's just not logistically possible. You can't physically do that. You can't close down streets. So you do have to sort of weigh that out. When you start getting those large numbers too of, it's doing 3,000-4,000 cups on a free day, like that also too, you do have to start thinking about that monetarily and how that hits your books. But 1,000 cups, 1,000 drinks for free. I mean, yeah, the kind of customer satisfaction you're going to get from that, the kind of name recognition you're going to get from that, you can't purchase that in a traditional marketing plan. Like I can't go out and do radio ads and get the kind of name recognition I'm going to get if I were to do a free day. And people are like, did you go to the new coffee shop? They're giving out free coffee. Who is it? Coffee Republic. Like that, you can't get that, and you can't spread that faster than doing a free day. There's just no way.
All righty, boys. Any last piece of wisdom or fire you want to drop on us, Drew? Anything that you're like, don't do this?
Don't not plan out contingencies for your parking lot. Just in case you reach your limits, or in case the city decides to turn you into a different type of flow. Contingencies for everything. Get your inspections early on. There's always last minute things that hit you. So yeah, I mean, it's all up in the air until the doors actually open. So I would say my word of advice is do all of the stressful things up front and during grand opening, just have fun, because that's what the day is about. And if it's your first location, what a celebration, what a big deal to actually get your business running. What a big deal. So you should be having fun, and it is a fun business. And congratulations to Coffee Republic and any of the clients in the future, and anybody that I don't get to work with, because what a huge thing, and how proud you should be of this thing.
Good word to finish out on. Coffee Republic, well done. So proud to have you as one of our clients. And Drew, thank you for representing the team so well. David, thanks for representing the team so well. Appreciate you guys. And we'll see everybody next week. Coffee Experts Club.
Thanks so much for joining us today. For those of you who are looking to become a coffee expert yourself, we offer an incredible, thorough training online for opening your first coffee drive-thru at www.myfirstdrivethru.coffee.